Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, January 6th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. If you're living in Ohio, you're probably digging your way out of the snow this morning. I've already shoveled twice, and I'm okay with it. I'm good for one major snowstorm a year. Sometimes we've skipped that. I don't need like 5 snowstorms, but, one big one, good with it. Kids are off school today. My wife's a teacher. She's off today, so they're all happy. And maybe they'll eat some Factor meals. That's not a nice thing to do when you're snowed in. Eat some Factor meals. It's high quality. I've been telling you guys about this. It's ready in 2 minutes. Never frozen. These are not the microwave meals we grew up on. And I've told you guys this story, but if you haven't heard it, on my side gig working at 97.1 The Fan, one of my friends, co-workers there, every time I co-host with them, would make a microwave meal. One of those old school microwave meals I'm talking about. Frozen, not very good, kind of just gets you by type thing. And I told him about Factor, and he loves it. Okay. And he likes to eat healthy. He likes good, high quality food. So Factor is perfect for him. So I'm spreading the word. Now he eats Factor instead of these frozen microwave meals. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/bucknuts50 off and use code bucknuts50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. It's a great deal. That's code bucknuts50 off at factormeals.com/bucknuts50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Check it out, my friends. Let's also check out Dan Rubin. Good to see you on a Monday, sir. I think you guys might have got even hit harder than we did in Columbus.
Still hitting, Dave.
Yeah, it's still hitting here too, actually. Yeah.
It wasn't too bad last night. We were able to go to the Hickory Barbecue and grab some dinner, but we are snowbound today. So I'm a very happy high school senior.
Yes. Yeah, and it doesn't matter how old kids are. Like they act like they're in second grade if they get a snow day. It's hilarious.
It is the love language heard around the world for students. Day off.
And teachers. I'm going to give a shout out to my brother-in-law, Jeff, who's a loyal listener of the show, big Buckeye fan. Jeff's off work today. So, Jeff, happy that your Snowmageddon happened and you have the day off. So, even teachers act like they're little kids when they get a day off. So, it's awesome. All right. So, it's crazy, man. It's like, oh, yeah, it's 4 days until the game. It's like this playoff, it's hard getting used to this new playoff system. It's fun as hell, though.
It's thrown off my schedule. I have not known what day it was since probably – you get a Wednesday kickoff for the and then it's been screwy, but the games have been enjoyable, Dave. I don't know if you know that.
I've enjoyed them from Ohio State's perspective, Dan.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's almost like the Tennessee one was like, okay. The Oregon one was like, I don't know if I could ever wish for, and now we're back to having to pick for this game. I'm not sure I've ever. You can correct me on this one. There's usually someone who thinks Ohio State's opponent is going to get it done. I've not heard anyone credible say they think Texas is going to get it done. I happened to watch the great Josh Pate last night, who revealed that no coach he spoke to gave him any hint that Texas would win. And he said that's almost the first time that's ever happened with him when he goes and researches it. So that makes me a little nervous.
Yes.
Here's what I do like. I like the angst from Texas towards former Kansas State quarterback Will Howard. I think we need a little juice. The Tennessee game, we had all the leftover, the game juice. The Oregon game had an obvious storyline. This one, we are so heavily favored. I get a little oogie. But knowing that Will Howard has a major chip on his shoulder for this, it makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. How do they guard against overconfidence? Now everybody's telling them how great they are. After a month ago, everybody's telling them, like, what's wrong with you guys? In addition to the loss against Michigan, Tennessee's talking about coming in here and taking over the stadium, Neyland North. They had all that. As you mentioned, Oregon, Rose Bowl. Oregon already beat them. I guess going to Texas – to play Texas kind of helps you get motivated, hopefully. And then, all the talk about, Will Howard's 0-3 against them. Okay, well, he's not playing with K-State's players this time around. maybe that'll help. But you're right. Everybody's telling them how great they are. They need to find a way to keep that edge, and that's easier said than done. You can say, well, you're not human if you can't get motivated for this. I get that. But, like, it's also natural as an athlete. When you're motivated, you're going to go – maybe they can Michael Jordan themselves up and just manufacture some motivation. But if they can just stay as motivated as they've been, Texas is in trouble. But if Ohio State goes out there and thinks, oh, we're good, we'll just dominate like we have, that could be trouble.
Oh, there's no question. In a lot of ways, Texas is the best matchup for Ohio State. If you go into their secondary, you can statistically, I mean, we're to the point now where you can statistically make arguments in a lot of ways for a lot of different things, but you do have a large sample size. I'm pretty sure Texas ranks out very highly among their secondary. They have a really good defensive line, and with guys who are going to be pros.
Right.
I heard the great Urban Meyer say that this weekend. You judge teams, you judge recruiting by, winning titles. Second thing you judge recruiting by is NFL production, how guys get into the NFL, how many guys you put in there. And he said every single player on the Ohio State starter, except maybe an offensive lineman or two, will start in the NFL. He's like, there are a few offensive linemen that may be backups, but they'll be in the league. Texas has that kind of talent. The defensive end Simmons, got the Freshman of the Year award, Colin Simmons, I believe, over Jeremiah Smith. Now, we all know that was silly. But still, the fact that he was in the mix was impressive. Jahdae Barron, a lot of people, I've talked about my draft guys. As we get closer to the draft, you start to learn about some guys because the NFL people don't look at college players a lot of the time during the season, get to it after the season and give you kind of what I think is an unbiased review of a player. A lot of them think Jahdae Barron could be the best cover corner available in the draft. Now, this is not a great draft. So when you say in the draft this year, it means a little bit different. But they have good players. Here's my thing with Texas. Quinn Ewers does not move around that well. And it's hard for me to see a game against Texas without at least one or two possessions for Texas where Ohio State really gets after the quarterback. And I don't know how Quinn Ewers is going to get through that. That would be my thing. And then Buck Rational, my guy, guess what we didn't do in the last game? Turn the ball over. If you have the best players and you do not turn it over and you don't make any goofy decisions, I think you're going to win. So getting after Ewers would be my number one. He also, Ewers, to me, when I see him, he's not that thick of a dude. Like when you see him walk in for the game in his civvies, he doesn't look that thick to me. He's been injured, and it's going to be Larry's right on cue. That's what I was going to say. I bet we see some Arch in this game. Now, that doesn't really scare me that much. If he was that good, he'd been playing before. It's not like Sarkisian has like a debt to the Ewers family that he has to play Quinn regardless of, situation. But I think they're in good shape. Like you said, overconfidence is an issue, but it's not. Is it though? That's what. Yes, it's an issue, but one, I don't even know personally right now if they're overconfident, and there's no guarantee. That's Texas better hope they're overconfident. Keep this in mind. Yes, that was their A+ effort at 34-0. That also would mean theoretically that your B+ effort would be about 20-0. So, they don't have to play. Look, nothing would bring me more joy than 34-0. However, you only need to win by 1 point. So let's also not, like, if we don't score touchdowns on the first 7 possessions, I'm not sure we should freak out. I just feel pretty good about the matchup, even though they're talented. I just really do feel like I knew we were the most talented team all year, but we've been playing the best the last 2 weeks. And I just think that the defensive adjustments after Oregon, when Oregon got 20, and it was a cosmetic 20, I think, or 21, excuse me. As long as the defense is playing like this, I just don't see another team being able to stack 30 on us. And I would really think 30 is going to take it. So I'm confident, not overconfident, Dave. I wouldn't do that, but
you could be overconfident. I just don't need the team to be. No, but seriously,
I'm usually less confident.
So I think a huge matchup advantage for Ohio State, and you touched on this a little bit, is Ohio State's pass rush against this newfangled Ohio State pass rush. Because it was like for the first half of the season, we're like, why are they not getting after the quarterback? And then they lost to Oregon, and they re-engineered the defense, and they've been one of the best in the country, culminating with their just marquee performance against Oregon with 8 sacks, 5 additional tackles for loss. I mean, they just were knocking Gabriel around all day. Where does Texas struggle? Protecting the quarterback. 33 sacks given up this year. Quinn Ewers not very mobile, in addition to not being a big guy, like you said. It's one thing if you're a little smallish. He's not a small quarterback. He's small-ish. If you're like really mobile. I mean, he's small and immobile. And Ohio State is getting after the quarterback. Texas's offensive line, not good, banged up. Down 2 starters. Another guy got hobbled. I think he's going to play. So that's a big matchup advantage for Ohio State. And I love the veteran. I mean, we know how veteran they are, but it was like when they flashed the graphic on the screen during the Rose Bowl, it was like, oh my gosh. It's like Caleb Downs, sophomore, Sonny Styles, junior, and then it's like 5th-year senior, 5th-year senior, 5th-year senior, 4th-year senior, senior. It was like, oh yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise. We know Ty Hamilton's a 5th-year senior, okay? We know Cody Simon's a 5th-year senior. By the way, I didn't see Cody Simon turning into, as you like to say, a werewolf, Dan, playing maybe the best I've seen at middle linebacker in a long time for Ohio State. I say middle linebacker. They've basically made Caleb Downs like a hybrid Mike, which I absolutely love. They're just so veteran. They've got leaders, and they're getting after the quarterback. That's a bad matchup for Texas, in my opinion, and a good one for the Buckeyes.
It's going to sound like a ridiculous question. Did Cody Simon grow? He seems taller. I know that sounds ridiculous.
Definitely is.
He looks. There was a people
he might have.
This is Cody Simon. It's hard to. He was not a great player at Ohio State he's been here. This is his 5th year, I believe. He wasn't a great player for 3 years. I don't know if you remember this. There was a play against Notre Dame last year where he made a stop on 4th down on the quarterback, the handsome one, and it's almost like he made that play, got a bunch of confidence, and has just kept it going. He's gotten better every game since. It's bizarre. It's not normal for a guy. And look, he wasn't even. I mean, he was highly recruited, but he doesn't even have the pedigree or the recruiting chops that Sonny had, and he's been playing incredible. I noticed they haven't played Arvell Reese. Once they settled in on these 2 guys, it looks like they got settled. And you mentioned a good point. They've really been playing. If you were to think about this, they've been playing Jordan Hancock and Lathan Ransom as the back safeties, and then Caleb is like a 12-yard middle linebacker to go do everything you want. Almost like the high school defense they used to play with Cade Stover, where they'd put him in the middle of the defense and be like, anything that moves, you destroy it.
Right. That way you can't like isolate what they did with what we were talking about, what they did with Devin Sanchez this year, where we're just not going to throw his way. It's like, well, if you put a guy in the middle of the field, just heat-seeking missile, good luck avoiding him. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's different when you're a corner. But you're right, man. I mean, I didn't see this coming, and you're right. Cody Simon, high 4-star, but it's not like where the light came on for Curtis Grant his senior year. He was the number 1 linebacker in the country coming out of high school. And dare I say Cody Simon's playing better than even Curtis Grant did during the national championship run 10 years ago. I mean,
I think that's fair.
Curtis Grant played great. And Cody Simon, I mean, gee, and there's so many. We could talk about so many guys. Lathan Ransom, Denzel Burke had his, redemption game. Obviously, Caleb Downs. The entire defensive line. Jack Sawyer, JT, Tyleek's been playing great. Ty Hamilton's solid. I mean, just
Dave,
everybody's playing well.
And we talk about a motivating factor, and I'm telling you, I know that Mr. Bucknuts doesn't agree with this. Don't sleep on a guy like Cody Simon. He's made himself a lot of money in the last 2 weeks. He's probably moved up, a round and a half, maybe? This is big time. Look, as much as we think the NFL is run like a well-oiled machine, some of them, just like the NCAA tournament in basketball, are turning on the TV and seeing some of these guys for the first time, falling in love, etc. Playing for, like, Will Howard. You don't think if Will Howard wins the next 2 games, I've said this a few times, is going to move up a couple rounds in the draft?
He already has.
You're playing for your career here. Now, our 2 highest drafted players, thank the Lord, are both coming back. Everyone, I think, agrees at this point that we have the best offensive and defensive player in football, I think there's some argument over Travis Hunter versus Caleb Downs. Although now when you see the NFL nerds talk about it online, we talk about who was going to be the star to emerge, the household name. For some reason, I just thought it'd be an older player. The answer is easy. It's Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith is now to the point where, like, my mom is texting me about him. You know what I'm saying? He's broken through to where he is like he's the guy now. I'm not sure there's ever been someone at this age. Clarett made a surge after the Ohio when he stole the ball from Sean Taylor, but I don't think there's ever been a guy who's a freshman, especially a non-quarterback. Maybe Herschel Walker back in the day, and I'm dating myself, where everyone kind of agreed, oh no, he's the best player, biggest, strongest, fastest, freakish. Actually, I would say Herschel Walker is probably the choice. And
Clarett,
I think I was like
State,
7 years old. Who?
Clarett for Ohio State's a good example.
Clarett, that's not what I'm saying. Clarett was eligible and probably thought he was great. He wasn't bigger, faster. Dude.
He wasn't
Herschel
Jeremiah
Walker
Smith. I get that.
I love Maurice Clarett. He's not Herschel Walker, bro.
No,
he's not. Go look at Herschel Walker highlights as a freshman. He was the best player on the field.
Go look at Ohio State's 2002 team with Clarett on the field, and when they didn't have Clarett, they were like a JV high school team that went 0-10. When they had Clarett, they were a functional offense.
Clarett next to Herschel Walker, he would look like a JV high school guy. They're not the same type of athlete. I'm not talking pro prospect wise.
I'm not arguing that. I know Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker was like even went to the Olympics in like the bobsled. He would be the guy to get up in the middle of the night and do 1,000 push-ups and sit-ups. I know, but like Clarett was a dude, man. He was a dude. He was the guy that you're talking about where everybody's like, okay, yeah, he's the toughest guy on the team, and he's a true freshman. Now, Jay-Z on Jeremiah Smith's level, hell no. No,
but and one thing I remember about Maurice Clarett, one of those games, the next day I was covering a Redskins game, and that's all I remember about this. And I'll give Maurice Clarett, there's never been chatter about a freshman in the press box of an NFL game like that, where it was like, dude. And I'm telling you, that play where he stole the ball from Sean Taylor was so incredible that it kind of was like the cherry on the sundae when you discussed it. It was like he had like the football IQ to go with it. But I'm telling you, Adrian Peterson is a great choice. Now that's probably the most recent one.
Randy Moss, but Randy Moss didn't play as a freshman because of the stupid Prop 48 thing. But his sophomore year at Marshall, oh boy.
I think Randy Moss also he went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, he went to Notre Dame, Florida State, and then it ended up he got kicked out of Notre Dame.
That delayed his arrival. Yeah.
There was but it was all like minor crap. It was like he really got screwed over. It was stuff today that would be legal. Let's put it that way. And then he shows up at Marshall as a sophomore and just takes it over. Hilarious. I think Marshall independent. Marshall, I think, was an independent then, or maybe they're in the MAC. He was
incredible.
They keep moving up. Yeah, I think they had Sean Pennington then. He would just throw kind of like that first pass of the Oregon, or the second play of the Oregon game, the first touchdown. Just throw a little 3-yard pass to JJ, and he'll just take it the distance. That's what they would do with Randy Moss. You know, it was good. We're talking about like Randy Moss and like Herschel Walker.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. The argument's been made. You know what I mean? It's like when you have to, like Herschel Walker, I would encourage everybody, get the Google machine out and just see him as a freshman. I'm not sure he ever got any better. That's kind of my point. He was that good as a freshman. And Jeremiah has gotten better in the last 2 weeks. The hands too. The thing that we sleep on with him is the hands. I was a Cowboys fan, obviously, when they had Terrell Owens, and there's something about them that's similar in their size and speed, but Terrell Owens looked like he was going to hurt himself when he was running. It was kind of almost mechanical and painful, and also he fought the ball tremendously. JJ has those hands, like I called them T. Higgins hands, where you catch the ball, you fall down out of bounds, and the ball doesn't move. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't even have to tuck it. He's a hands catcher. It's just, I don't know what to tell you. We're running out of Marshall Faulk was awesome as a freshman too. Good Lord. Marshall Faulk was so good as a freshman. I remember they did a thing on SportsCenter where they showed his clips to NFL players for the first time, and they'd be like, wow. Good call by all the teams on the East Coast, by the way. Nobody offered New Orleans native Marshall Faulk as a running back except San Diego State. Everyone else wanted him to play corner. Good call.
Put San Diego State on the map. I used to like those uniforms too, those Aztecs.
Oh, they're fire.
Yeah, I mean, Marshall Faulk, he's one of those guys that, like, unless your team was playing him, like, I think everybody liked Marshall Faulk. He was just one of those guys. All right, let's welcome Rocket Money as our newest sponsor to the show. I love this, and they can save you guys some money. The start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, and prioritize what matters most. For me, a top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. They show me all of my subscriptions right in one place, help me easily cancel ones that I forgot I've been paying for. Rocket Money also pulls together all of my spending across all of my different accounts, so I can clearly track my spending habits and see where I can cut back. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. That sounds good. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. rocketmoney.com/gameon. There you go.
Big time sponsor.
You gotta save some money out there. Yeah, and I'm sure we're all guilty of it. You know, there's so many subscriptions now with, you know, all the streaming stuff and just everything you have that has a subscription. You're bound to forget, you know, oh yeah, I didn't know I still had that. I don't need that. Get Rocket Money. They'll help you out with all that stuff. Save you guys some money. All right. Yeah, I mean, are we just going to talk about the best freshman ever in college football for the rest of the show? That kind of sounds fun. No. So let's get to the other side. You talked about this a little bit. You think of Texas, you think of Quinn Ewers, you think of Sark. You know, Sark is even though this offense has struggled at times, it does give me a little trepidation because Sark is a really good play caller. Really good play caller. So that's, you don't want all of a sudden this to be, well, Texas has like a C offense, but they play their A game against Ohio State. Good luck playing your A game against this Ohio State defense, but still. This Texas team, you might think of Sark, you might think of Quinn Ewers, but yeah, defense, as you mentioned, is their calling card for sure. And we'll see, man. We've talked about Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee's got a tough defense. They have a decent defense. Oregon's defensive line, this and that. Texas's defense is much better. You nailed it because they have like NFL guys on this defense. And now they haven't played. I've looked at their schedule. It's interesting. Who's got the number 1 defense in the country? Ohio State. Who's got the number 2 defense in the country? Texas. But Texas hasn't played a lot of good offenses, though. They haven't played like an Oregon twice. You know, they played teams like Georgia twice. So I think their defensive stats are a little misleading. Still, they're a very good defense. So that's a matchup. I think Ohio State has a huge advantage when Texas has the ball. Although when I say huge advantage, I give Sark his props. But this is one that I'm keeping an eye on, and Texas definitely has a fierce defense.
They do have a fierce defense. Their offensive line is talented, like you mentioned, Dave, but they've just been hurt. Kelvin Banks, the offensive lineman, who's been battling injury. In fact, he went down during the last game again. Looks to me, I think he has a recurring ankle injury. He has some kind of injury where they're taping it up and he's having to gut through it. But he's projected to be a high draft pick. Now, I'll say this. Most of the guys you see projected as high-level offensive linemen, even the tackles, are not a lot. Like, for example, I know that the people I think Kelvin Banks will be a guard in the NFL. So you're not going up against the elite of the elite that maybe they would have been. Josh Simmons is actually rated higher by him on some accounts, and Donovan Jackson has been playing as well. He's been playing so well at left tackle, he's probably increased his value at guard. I heard someone say they think that Jackson has moved up because of that. Another incredible development of the season. Another of those things, if you've been –
I'm sure you see it all the time too in the NFL. You see it all the time. Guys who are a tackle have to play guard, or guards have to play tackle, because you're only dressing like 7 offensive linemen. And if you have versatility in the NFL, that's extremely valuable. That's why I laughed, Dan, when people were like, oh, Donovan's not going to move the left tackle because it'll hurt his draft value. It's like, What? What NFL do you follow?
So certainly you wouldn't do it that way. Maybe if you were a left tackle and they made you play guard, you could make an argument. You certainly don't want to make the argument the other way out. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense at all. No, they also have, I mean, and I agree with you, Sark. Here's the thing with Sark that I've heard and that I've witnessed. You can't let them get the lead. He's way better with the lead. Texas is not particularly strong. I don't know if any team is at their best when they're behind the chains, but they are particularly can be overwhelmed. That's what happened when they played Georgia. Now, Georgia put forth that one nighttime effort we all saw that literally, I think, had an impact on the rankings for weeks and weeks because we had a vision of Georgia just destroying Texas rather than the one that went to like 15 overtimes with Georgia Tech. And they never really put it together after that. But if you can put together a defensive effort like that, you can make Texas look pedestrian offensively, and they did. I don't think they are as gifted at running back. I know they've had a lot of injuries at running back. They do have the one receiver, it's Boyd, Isaiah Boyd. I should know that. But they aren't look, no one can match Ohio State for skill players. So when you start to get into that discussion, it feels pretty good. I mean, the receiving core and the running backs who are, you did say that, Hollywood Hager. I'll just say this. It certainly looks like we have some fresh legs. Bond, that's my fault. Isaiah Bond, man, we were on it. Travion Henderson certainly looks like he has fresh legs.
Isaiah Bond.
Oh, come on, man. I got that guy.
Everybody, like I love our listeners, man. I love it. It's like 15 people just says it's Bond. I love it. And by the way, we've had some people ask, when is the game? It's Friday. I initially thought it was Saturday too. I was thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be Saturday. And it's like, no, it's Friday. We're 4 days away, my friends. 4 days away, and it's 7:30 Eastern on Friday, and they leave on Wednesday. We also had a question about that. They leave on Wednesday. And now we have Neil telling me the Bengals fired Lou Anarumo. Okay, that's the problem. How about fire the guy that is the head coach? The only time in NFL history you have the passing leader and the receiving leader on the same team, and they missed the playoffs. Oh, they have the NFL sack leader too, and they still missed the playoffs. So, that's moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic right there. You fire the defensive coordinator. Head coach is the problem. Completely lost my train of thought there. What was I talking about?
But guess what, Dave? Head coach is the problem in more than one spot. Let's hope both teams that we root for.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. The here we go again mentality will kick in for me as a fan.
What the heck was I just talking about before? Oh, yeah, they leave on Wednesday. Okay, so they leave Wednesday. So this is not your typical bowl trip, man. This is basically like a regular season game the way they're treating it, just one extra day. Instead of getting there Thursday, they're getting there Wednesday. We actually had an on-campus – no, not at all. And it's, as we always talk about, when you have your own airport and you're flying charter, everything's easy when you're flying. And Ohio State has its own airport, and they fly charter, so they're good to go. But, yeah, it's not a bad
That really is true, by the way.
What's that?
That's really true. I never knew that, but the one time I got the chance to fly with Mr. Bucknuts, it was like a regular work day. We flew out. We actually flew from Ohio, from Dayton to Bristol, Connecticut to meet with some people at ESPN. You just pull right up, you get on the plane, you fly back. And I remember as I was driving home that day, I was thinking this was much less physically taxing than sitting in traffic like at a regular work day. So, yes, flying private is all it's cracked up to be. But I digress.
We had like an did you see this? We had like it's just crazy. Everything, the schedule is wild. So yesterday, Sunday at 11 a.m., we had an on-campus media day. We're supposed to get 8 players. We got 7. Lathan, I think, was under the weather. People are freaking out about that. Hey, if he's under the weather now, good timing. I'd rather have that than they got sick on the way to Dallas, and then you get like one day then it's like, oh crap, plenty of time.
You can play football. Take some Tylenol.
Plenty of time. Young guy, yeah, exactly. Rub a little Robitussin on there, as Chris Rock would say. Give him some tussin. So we're a little on-campus media day yesterday. We had first time we've had talked to Luke Montgomery in a long time. So that was cool. Some of the guys on the beat were like, why are we getting Luke Montgomery? Kind of, not to Luke Montgomery
Good
or to
talker.
Jerry, kind of just behind everybody's back. Like, why are we getting it? It's like, because like he's now is playing a big role and we haven't talked to him all year. And it was pretty interesting. We got Big Willie style, of course, Will Howard. Caleb Downs is always great. I didn't know if you saw any of that, any takeaways you had yesterday. There wasn't anything major. They don't seem overconfident. I like that. They seem quietly confident. But that was my vibe going to the Michigan game too, and look what happened. So who knows? I'm not going to try and like be a psychologist here, but I did like what I heard yesterday. What were your takeaways?
I've tried to just get away from trying to predict that, Dave, because I've been so wrong.
Right.
I've been terrible at it. I thought we'd whack. I made the worst statistical prediction I've ever made at Bucknuts, which is a challenge because this just in. I don't pick them to lose. Was the Michigan game the worst I've ever done? Tennessee, then it brought me back, and I was like, I'm going to play it close to the vest. I think I picked the 3-point game, and then Oregon. I felt great about the Oregon game and went against it and went close again. And now I'm just to the point where I realize I don't know anything. But when I sit back and I look at it, there's not. Put it this way. It wasn't fluky. Neither of the games were fluky in how they built the lead. They weren't trick plays. They weren't we didn't attack some injured weakness on the other team. So I love Chuck. The original coach of the Dream Team was Chuck Daly, and here's why they picked him. His belief on adjustments was this: you adjust to us. We have the best team. And once the Buckeyes started doing that, I don't know why there's a real reason to pick against them. They have the best players. There's never been, I'll say this, I've never watched, even when they won the championship, when they beat Marcus Mariota's team, there was never a point in time in that season where I felt they really definitely had, without question, the best roster. There was, the Joe Burrow team. I talk about that. It's looming out there. Had the Jeff Okudah play gone correctly. That's not the case here. I really feel like if you go matchup for matchup, they have the best team. And they've proven it now twice. So I'm confident, but not overconfident. I mean, I don't want to. Also, by the way, it doesn't matter if I'm confident or overconfident, like you said. I'm not to doubt.
Right.
Here's what really makes me confident. I'll tell you what. Having Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. Thanks again to Nick Saban, by the way. Thank you again, Nick Saban. Great timing for your retirement. Just tremendous timing on your part.
Even woke the defense up.
Think about trying to do this without Caleb Downs.
Dan, he even woke the defense up this year, halfway through the year. What did the GOAT say? Ohio State's defensive pass rush is antiquated. And Ryan Day was asked about it, thinking, coach is going to not like that. He basically agreed with them. Good move. Saban, not just the GOAT, but like he's a defensive-minded coach, and said the Ohio State pass rush is antiquated. What does Ohio State do? How about we become the best pass-rushing defense in the country? 8 sacks against Gabriel. To be up on that Oregon team 34-0 midway through the second quarter, it's just mind-boggling, even though we watched it. I've watched it now, I think, 5 times. It's just elation to watch that. 34-0 against the number 1 team in the country midway through the second quarter in the Rose Bowl, in the playoffs. You could not have designed it any better. It's just Buckeye. What's the word I'm looking for? I already used elation.
Euphoria.
Yeah, Buckeye, I don't know. Ecstasy. I don't know. Yeah.
Dream state.
Yeah, just whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, Buckeye actualization. It was just perfect. I mean, you could not have 34-0. It really was 31-0 midway through. I think the 34.
I can complete a little later. Full sentence. This guy says I can't complete a full sentence, so I can. And there you go. Look, it's hard to get your mind around the extremes. To go from the extreme of the Michigan game to the last two, it's not a normal experience as a sports fan, I don't think. The level of extremes that we went from Ryan Day literally being could not turn his television on. Any channel nationally, there were people who didn't know anything about football saying he should be fired, to now not one person in football is picking them to lose. For a 3-week stretch, I can't remember a team that I've rooted for or been a part of, cheering for, that's dealt with those extremes. I'm glad to be on this part of the extreme now. But yeah, it's enjoyable. Jerry World's also an interesting spot too, because no weather whatsoever. The other game's outdoors. So you're going to get room temperature. Room temperature favors talent. And think about it this way too, Dave. This is like a home game for them, and you don't even hear that discussed that much.
I don't like that. Now, it's not – I know obviously Arlington's like 3 hours away from Austin, but you have a ton of Texas fans living in Dallas-Fort Worth area, as you know. But Buckeye fans travel. I thought it might be 60-40 in the Rose Bowl, Oregon. No, it was 50-50, I think, right around there. I mean, I don't think crowd's going to be a factor. I'd prefer not to play Texas in Texas, but hey, just adds to the story, if they're able to do it. And then what's also crazy to me, I almost can't get my mind wrapped around this, is if they beat Texas, they're going to be playing Notre Dame or Penn State for the national championship. Isn't that crazy? And that game's just 3 days away. No, quick turnaround for Notre Dame. Not in a regular season, it wouldn't be. They played last Thursday. They're going to play this Thursday. But Penn State with 2 extra days off, that could be something that helps Penn State. But Notre Dame's favored by 2. It's hilarious. Those are the teams playing in the other semifinal.
What's your vibe on that game?
I don't know. I don't know. I can see it going either way. And when I saw Notre Dame was favored by 2, I was a little surprised because I was like, I would have guessed pick 'em. To me, that is a coin flip of coin flip games right there, especially with Notre Dame being a little banged up, having their defensive tackle out.
Right.
I know they played well without him against Georgia, but Georgia's not a good offense. Penn State, with their first-year offensive coordinator, has done a good job making them, instead of an antiquated offense, pretty darn productive. And I won't even say gimmicky. They're just – Kolonicky is just – he's a really good offensive coordinator. I mean, Kansas fell off the map without him. He's really got
no receivers, though. They literally don't throw the ball. I can't believe Penn State's gotten this far. And I mean, maybe it's their draw, which was, come on now.
That's true.
It's preposterous.
Tyler Warren makes up for a lot of that, though. He's the best tight end.
Stud.
Yeah,
he's a stud.
He's got. I'm going to play in the NFL for 15 years, written all over him.
He's great, but I do think, hopefully, I thought we lost to Michigan, not this most recent time, the time before, because of Colston Loveland, and when they signed Downs, I figured we could work that out. I wouldn't be surprised if Downs spends a good period of time following 44 around if they happen to meet Penn State.
If they get there.
Let's worry about that when we get there.
Right. Yeah, we got football coming up, my friends. 3 days. We got Penn State, Notre Dame, and then 4 days from now, it's crazy. Friday night football, Ohio State, Texas at the Cotton Bowl. All right, we'll be with you all week. Dan will be with you tomorrow with the Dean and the Poobah. I'll be back with you guys Friday, hopefully with Bax. Dan will be back with you guys Thursday. Looks like I'll be double dipping on Friday, a little Bucknuts Morning 5, and then what we learned live. Is that a first time for that? It might be. All right, great stuff from Dan. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and enjoy the shoveling if you're in Ohio.